Tifu. I chose work over saying a final goodbye to my cat. Her name is Emhi. She is a black, chubby, cheerful cat. Whenever we call her name, she always responds with a meow. No matter where she is in the house, if we call her, she comes to us immediately. Until last month, when we discovered cancer in her. And last night, I dreamt of a cat. I played with it, stroking its belly without it biting. We rubbed our faces together until I woke up for work. At 10 a.m., my sister messaged that Emhi might not survive the day. Caught up in urgent work, I chose working instead of going back to her. Until 3:50 p.m. when she told me Emhi had passed. At that moment, the world seemed to stop. I couldn't focus on work. Wonder why? What have I done? Regretting not saying a final goodbye. Now, I blame myself. Feeling like I've become the adult I despise. Choosing work over the ones I love. And right now, 1:29 a.m. I'm still working. I hated myself even more now. TLDR. My cat is dying and I chose work over saying a final goodbye to my cat. And now I hate myself. You must forgive yourself and take the lesson as an experience that will not let you make the same mistake twice. Sorry for your loss. Try not to beat yourself up too hard about this. You two shared your last moments together in your dream and that was her goodbye to you. Now it is up to you to honor her memory. Emhi would not want you to hate yourself for this. I'm so sorry for your loss. That is a rough situation to be in. I have a very similar story and this brought it all back. We always had cats growing up and one of them was really fond of me. She was really my cat. When I moved out of my parents' home, it was clear that she missed me. Her behavior changed and she didn't really get along with the other cats. After some time, we figured we'd try bringing her over to my new place. But she didn't seem to adjust there. It didn't help that she had to be alone most days since I was away at work. And she was already 15 years old as well. One evening when I got back, I couldn't find her. And once I finally did, she was acting really weird. Almost unresponsive. She wouldn't react to almost anything I did. Didn't want attention or food. And when I picked her up and brought her to my room to be with me, she always just slowly walked away back to her hiding spot. To this day, I don't really understand what happened to her. But she became so different. I don't know if cats have strokes. But it felt like something like that. This obviously wasn't working. So I brought her back to my parents' home. And her health declined even more over time. One morning they called me, saying that she's doing really poorly and probably won't last long. I decided to drive there. But it's a 2-hour drive and I guess I didn't fully understand the urgency. Because I was kind of used to her doing poorly anyway. I took my sweet time before I set out for the drive. And when I arrived, she had already passed. I cried my eyes out that day. I don't know. Maybe whatever issue she had was just caused by her age and would have happened anyway. But I still feel like it was all my fault. Sorry for telling my story here. It kind of just came out. Unfortunately, when I was younger I did the same thing. My dog who I chose as a puppy when I was a kid had to be put down due to his arthritis and old age. When I was a teen, I went to work that day and felt when he passed away. Something gripped me and part of me left when he did. Honestly, one of the only regrets I have in my life, and I'm sorry that our society successfully tricked us into thinking work was the right answer here. She knows that you loved her. In a culture where it's just a pet dominates in the workforce, we forget the grief we suffer over losing anything we love deeply. I recommend checking out our grief support or one of the pet dedicated subreddits and spending some time sharing favorite photos and stories of Emhi. I have a similar story. A few years ago, one of our rabbits, Theo, had a sudden rapid decline. He was old, so we knew it was coming. My mom loved Theo to pieces, so she stayed up all night with him, hugging him and telling him that he's loved. The next morning, she got called into work on an urgent matter. She was gone for 3 hours. Theo passed before she got back home. Mom was absolutely heartbroken that she wasn't there. But in the end we both found comfort in the fact that he seemed to hang on and wait, so we didn't have to watch him pass. He wanted to do it alone. After hours of love and comfort, I believe that maybe Emhi chose to appear in your dream so that you didn't have the pain of watching her pass. Understandably, you are hurting right now, but I hope that you can eventually find comfort in knowing that she loved you and perhaps didn't want to put you through that. When my dog of 12 years had to be put down, I didn't say goodbye. It was meant to be a checkup for her diabetes, but the vet felt that she was getting worse and it was time. I didn't go to that appointment because my child was a couple months old and it was just meant to be a checkup. My parents, she was living with them still, took her and she never came home. It's been almost 2 years and I still cry over it. I took my mother's cat to vet because it was too hard for her. There is so easily guilt when pet passes, no matter which way it happens. What I want to point out is that how little moment of the pet's Leah the actual passing is. The quality of the life was what mattered and the moments together. You would have been very stressed out if you went to say goodbye. And that is not always the best for the pet, because they read us. Be kind to yourself. I'm sorry, friend. It's tough. I know. Just take solace in the knowledge you gave them the best life you could. Don't hate yourself. You had to work to buy Emhi her favorite treats and pay for her medical care, even if she didn't understand it. I certainly wish I don't have to leave my 3 rescue doggos alone all day. But if I don't go to work, I can't buy them expensive memory foam beds or put 3 gifts for each of them under the Christmas tree. Our collective vet bill over the past few years has been enough to pay for the honeymoon to Italy that my husband and I have never had. My rescue doggo Milo passed away from sudden kidney failure. I left her at the vet's overnight, trusting that she would get better. The next day, they told me to come in as soon as I could. I opted to work until 1400 instead of 1600 and I was devastated when I got there. She was miserable. I immediately asked them to euthanize. I felt like a monster for letting her suffer so long. That was 6 years ago. And to this day I wish I had taken her home and watched her overnight myself. The truth is, we all have to work to provide for our loved ones. And we never know what life is going to throw at us, we just do the best we can. Your baby knows you love her, and she's waiting for you to cross the rainbow bridge. Can you imagine how happy she'll be when she hears Emhi on the other side, and comes running to you again? I understand how you feel. Almost a year ago my senior kitty started having bad seizures and her heart was failing even with her murmur meds. My mom called me to tell me she was bringing her to the vet at the end of the day so I could come say goodbye. I live 3 hours away. I went shopping instead, because my brain wouldn't process that my childhood cat was actually that sick. My mom understood and got her a faster appointment. I felt the same immediate regret when my mom told me she had passed and beat myself up for months over not saying goodbye to her. I now know that me not being there for her last moment didn't make me a terrible owner. Give yourself some time. Emhi knew you loved them and not being there for their final moments doesn't take that away. I hope you can process your grief and the loss of Emhi with ease. Let yourself feel your emotions because I know strangers' reassurance isn't always going to put your mind and heart at ease so early. I wish you good luck and just know Emhi had a wonderful life with you guys. Edit. Spelling. It's easy to be hard on yourself in times like this. I have been with myself since my cat Freya died unexpectedly almost 2 weeks ago. It's easier to be mad at yourself than to let yourself feel all the sadness that comes with the death of any person or pet. Let yourself grieve for your cat. Let yourself remember the times you had with her that were good and happy. Let yourself be grateful that she isn't suffering anymore. Give yourself time to adjust to your new reality. It's super freaking hard, but it's the only thing that will help. I am sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for your loss. It doesn't feel right that they have to leave us. I lost my childhood dog a couple years ago and never got a chance to say goodbye, but looking back, I know she said goodbye to me, even if I couldn't hear it until after she passed. The last time I went over to my childhood home, Mimi just wouldn't leave me alone. She was always excited for someone to come visit, but she insisted that I pick her up. She was a small dog, and while I was there, every time I tried to put her down, she would just jump right back up into my arms. I held her for a couple hours or so until it was time for me to go. She was so affectionate that day. She kept staring at me. I left thinking nothing of it, but knowing it felt nice to be home and to be with my dog. She passed a week or so later, and I had planned to go home after work to say goodbye on the day she passed, but she didn't make it until then. I was really sad, thinking I missed the chance. But then I remembered that day I spent with her, and I realized what she was saying to me, and I was able to let her go. I still miss her a lot actually. But I know that we had that moment together even if I didn't recognize it at the time. I hope you can find some peace in my story and that you give yourself time to properly grieve. You might try reaching out in our Pet Loss. It's a small community, but it helped me to have an outlet. Your dream was there to give you peace. I hope that you will find some. I'm sorry for your loss. It feels like an important moment, but it wasn't the only one. Your cat was lucky to have your love for her life. Give yourself some grace for this. I'm sorry your heart hurts right now. I'm sorry for Emhi, and I'm sorry for your loss. Please learn from this. Most things are more important than work. We only have our beasts for today, so make the most of today. At least Emhi wasn't alone in her final moments. Sometimes in life we have to prioritize our time. Sometimes we make the right decisions and sometimes we don't. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just use it as a lesson that the time we have in life is fleeting. Don't focus on the one day. Focus on the whole life. Emhi knew you loved them, and one day will not change that. Emhi is at rest now. They are playing with all the mousy toys and can finally catch the laser. And Emhi has their choice of all the warm sunny spots to nap in. This would have happened even if you were there. Mourn that Emhi won't be there to answer the door when you come home. But don't mourn missing their death. It is just one step on the journey. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.